Oh, okay. Back to the regular.
Okay.
You're not recording now, are you?
I just started it. Do I need to pause it?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill James, and today we're going to talk about Windows 10, version 1709. But first, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to be with you this morning. It's really a pleasure. I also would like to invite you to join us tomorrow for the virtual technology conference. On the splash screen, you'll see the information about the conference and the registration links to go to. That's apcug.org/category/virtual-tech-conference. But if you go to the apcug2.org website, you can click on the links there. It's not too late to register, and there's 4 great presentations, plus it's also our annual meeting. So there's quite a bit of information that's out there for you. It's virtually free, so please join us. I'm going to now close this out, and then we'll go directly into the presentation. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my desktop. Mary, can you see my desktop?
Yes, we can.
Good. All right. The version of Windows 10 that I will be demonstrating is the latest. It's the 1709, which is the Fall Creators Update. This is the 4th update to Windows 10 since it was introduced. If you're curious to know if you have Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, the way to find out is to click on the Start button, go to the Settings, which is the gear here on the Start menu, and you'll get the Windows Settings screen. I'll make it full screen so you can see it. And here you want to click on System, and then scroll down to About. And then here under Windows Specifications, you'll see Windows 10 Home or Windows 10 Pro, depending on which version you have, and it's version 1709. You'll also notice that in this version of Windows that you'll get some information here that is about Windows Defender. They've done a lot of improvements to Windows Defender. It shows your virus and threat protection, firewall. These green checks means that these are all good to go. And then you can click here on this link. One thing that you have to remember with Windows 10 is that there are hyperlinks actually on some of the pages, and they are highlighted in a different color. So you can click on those and it will take you to additional information. Like this right here is now the Windows Defender Security Center. It's been revamped, and you can see a lot of information here as virus protection threat. It shows your scan history and all your settings. Now, Windows Defender is a built-in antivirus, anti-malware app that's built into Windows 10. If you have a third-party antivirus installed, then Windows Defender will be turned off. But if you don't, you have it running full-time, and there's quite a bit of things that are interesting. One of the things that's new is in the virus and threat protection settings, there is a controlled folder access. And what this does, this protects you from ransomware. And that's something that's new in this edition of Windows 10. That's just one of the features that is actually in the built-in antivirus that Windows 10 has. It gives you your health report. If you ever have a need to actually do a clean install of Windows, you can do it from here. It gives you your firewall and network protection, and allows you to also make some other finer adjustments if you need to, such as allowing an app through a firewall if that needs to happen. You also can, there's an app and browser controls, set up Windows Defender Smart Screen settings for apps and browsers. And what this will, it will actually warn you if it encounters, if you're on the web and it encounters an unrecognized apps or files that might be trying to download, you'll get a warning for that, or it will block it. It's your choice, as you can see here. Also, the same thing applies to any kind of malicious sites or downloads in Microsoft Edge. You also will get either block or a warning from those. So if you have 1709 installed, you might want to just take a look at those and see if the settings are to your liking. This right here currently is set to the default settings. So I'll go back to our main screen here. As you can see with the 1709, there has been a couple of new additions. If you're not familiar with the Windows settings menu, now the Windows settings menu is going to be the replacement for the familiar control panel that we're all have used for years and years. And gradually all the settings that's in the current control panel are being migrated to the Windows settings screen. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to navigate through, but I've been using it for a while, but I'm finding it to be a lot easier to use than the old control panel. But the new ones are being able to link your phone to your PC is an interesting feature now. If you're browsing a website on your phone and you want to later look at it on your PC, this application or this setting will allow you to do that. And what's required is that you just add a phone, and it's a matter of just going in and putting the phone number in for that particular phone that you want to use. And then this will send a text message to your phone, and then you just use that to initiate the link. And so, as you can see there, these are the managed phones. There's my my cell phone, and then also there's a link for my iPad. So I can, if I'm looking at any of those devices and I want to connect them or be able to see them on my PC later, I can do that. Nice feature, maybe something that you may not want to use, but it's a nice feature. All the other stuff is pretty much straightforward. Of course, we still have your update and security that has not changed. Um, One of the things I've noticed about the Fall Creators Update, it's more to do about adding features rather than changing any of the interface. The interface still remains the same, you're just getting more functionality. And as you can see, there's a lot more information here on some of the screens where you can get help and assistance. And let's remember that the text that's in a different color are actually links that you can click on and go find out additional information about various topics. Cortana, the built-in assistant, has now been moved to the settings screen where you can go in and make all kinds of changes on her behavior. You can check your mic, you can tell how Cortana responds to you. If you don't want to use the Hey Cortana, you can turn that off. There's also a keyboard shortcut that you can turn on or off. Have Cortana be able to provide you tips on your lock screen. If you have any reminders that you have set up, then those will show, as well as permission history, notifications, and details. So all that's now been moved to settings, where it used to be part of, when you clicked here, you would find that information, but that's no longer. So let's look at some of the other things here that's available that has come to be a part of Windows 10. Of course, everybody knows that the familiar taskbar is still there. When you click on the Start button, of course, you get all your applications that are in alphabetical order. A really quick tip, if you don't like to scroll down to find a particular app, there's a really quick way to be able to access those. Is just click on, these are all in alphabetical order. So if you click on any letter that precedes the listing, it will give you a grid such as this. So all the apps that that begin with one of these names, you can just click on. Say for instance, if I want to go to Windows Accessories, I can click on the M. I'm sorry. I can click on the W, and Windows Accessories is right here. And it's still, the down arrow, of course, identifies that there's additional programs or applications associated under Windows Accessories. One unique thing too under Windows Accessories, while we're here, I'll point that out, is that there is a function now in Windows 10 that's called Quick Assist. And this allows you to be able to give an individual who you know assistance. So it enables two people to share a computer over a remote connection so that one person can help solve a problem on the other person's computer. Now, I've used this many times with individuals in my club because they are having some particular problem. Rather than I have to go over to their home to help them, I can do it remote. And what happens here is that the person that wants assistance, they just click here, and then they have a code that you'll give them to enter. And if I'm the one that's giving assistance, I click here, You always have to sign in with your Microsoft account. So that's one thing you have to know. And see, I'll get the security code here, and that's the code that I will give the person I'm giving assistance to. And then they will get a notification that I want to access their computer. So they grant me permission, and then I can then see their screen and be able to provide any assistance or help them with any problem they may have. It's a really nice feature. And then, of course, you can exit out of it, and then the next time you enter, it'll be a brand new code. So there's not a problem of you being able to get into their computer again using that same code. So that's just one of the things that's been added in Windows 10. So you might want to try to give that a try. Now that's completely different from remote desktop connection. This allows you to get into your computer using another device such as a laptop. In fact, you can also get into it using your phone if necessary. But that's different from Quick Assist. So keep those separate. Quick Assist is for allowing you to provide assistance to others. Remote desktop allows you to get into your own computer using your remote device. The next box on the taskbar is actually, some people think this is just strictly Cortana, but it's not. It is your search engine for whatever you need to find on your computer, within apps, within the web. So say for instance, if I wanted to search for information on cars, I would just type car in here. And you notice immediately it starts populating information regarding cars. The very top one in the blue would give me web results, and the others are just search suggestions. Cars for sale in Oklahoma, Cars Direct, etc. If I have any photos of cars, it's going to bring those up. If I have any people that happen to match those letters, it's in this case Carson, it'll bring that up. Here at the top, you notice that there are some filters that you can use, that you can limit your search results. The very first one will only show what's in apps. In other words, what happens to be might be available in the Microsoft Store. The next one is for documents. If there's any documents that match that criteria. In other words, remember that the search criteria is based on those three letters, C-A-R-S. So any of these documents that meet that criteria will display. That means also that if in any of these documents there happens to be a reference to cars, then it would also display. I'm a member of the Oklahoma Mustang Club, and so I write articles for our newspaper. So that's what you're actually seeing here, in these documents, the car has been mentioned. So that's why they're all showing. So it's one of the nice things to remember about if you happen to save a document or a picture or whatever on the computer and you lose, I can't remember where you saved it, is that by just using the search engine here, it will be able to possibly find that particular document or picture. And the next icon here is what's available on the web using that same criteria that we put in as cars. So it's showing all the things that are available under that criteria. It even shows that there's the car movie here, and cars for sale in Oklahoma, etc. Now the reason why it knows I'm in Oklahoma, because one of the things is I have my location turned on, so it knows that I'm here in Oklahoma. In your case, it might be Florida, wherever you happen to be residing. So further over is what has been referred to as the task view. And there's some confusion about that, I think, is that when you click that, it shows you the documents that are available on your main screen. But say, for instance, if you wanted to create a new desktop, in other words, you wanted to keep everything on this screen, but you wanted a new clean desktop. You go over here to where it says new desktop, click that, and then that brings up desktop 2. And here I'll be able to open up a Edge. And I can have that open. And then at this point, I can now toggle between the two. I can go here to task view again and go to my desktop 1, which you see there. Or I can go and toggle to desktop 2, which I have Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge open. And I can do up to as many of those as I need. I can add a third one, new desktop. And here I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. And so now I have a copy of Microsoft Word up. So here again, when I click on Task View, you notice I have that desktop, I have this desktop, and I have that desktop. And I can toggle between any one of those. I can even drag this document down to desktop 2. And I can close that one out. And now I have, I've combined the two desktops together. So if you're into multitasking, in other words, want to be able to use multiple desktops, you can use the task manager, the task view to do just that. And of course, you can close them all out just by clicking the X, and that brings you back to your document. As you can see, I still have all 3 of these open, and I can still click on either one to bring them full screen. So it's quite a convenience. Makes computing really nice to have those capabilities. Of course, the other things are just your regular icons that you can pin to your taskbar. Now you notice I'm quite a believer into having a clean desktop, because I like to be able to enjoy the background scenery. So I have taken to completely hiding my, and you'll see why, my desktop icons. Because in my opinion, to have the desktop icons here can be redundant. A lot of these things I can access here on my start menu or my taskbar. So I see no purpose in having these icons here on my desktop. So I have chosen to go in and not display those. So I just keep those hidden because I'm going to use my start menu and I'm going to use my my taskbar to access all the documents and apps that I need. And then when I'm not, I can enjoy whatever scenery. I use Bing, and they provide a really beautiful scenery every few days. And so I really enjoyed that. Now, of course, to be able to pin an app to the taskbar to the start menu has not changed. You just right click on it and you can either unpin it or pin. And you can either pin it to the start or you can pin it to the taskbar. Also, if you have, by right clicking, you can run it as an administration. You can also open the file location and also do an uninstall just from right clicking on the appropriate application that you want to use. Say, for instance, if I want to pin the calculator to my, that one happens to be pinned. Let's see, maybe this one's not. I have quite a few of them pinned, so let's see one that I don't. So if I want to pin the HP Smart to my start menu, I just click here, pin to start. Now remember, they always are going to go to the bottom of the screen, and then from there you can just move it to wherever you want it. Now, one thing that has happened in Windows 10 Fall Creators Update is they've almost made the scroll bars on the invisible. Why, I don't know, but it's part of their what they're called fluid design. But as you notice, as I move my cursor over to the menu, you'll see the scroll bar then appears. But when I move it away, it disappears. So it almost seems to an individual that's not familiar with this that there's no scroll bar there. But even if you move it here, if you use your wheel, pardon me, you'll be able to scroll down because you can see that little fine line right there as I moved over. So I'm using my scroll wheel on my mouse to scroll up and down. But if I move my cursor to my mouse arrow to the edge, you'll see the scroll bar appears. So that's new in the Fall Creators Update. So just be aware of that. And that's throughout that's throughout all the applications. So anytime you want to do the scroll bar, you're going to have to move the mouse into the area of the application in order to view that. As we move over, one of the newer features is that you notice down here I have 3 icons. In the Fall Creators Update, they have, you will see when you first install on your taskbar, you'll find the people icon. And what that allows you to do, you can pin up to 3 of your favorite contacts to the taskbar. So say for instance, I have Julie Tallur here. I can click on her and it's going to show me all the mail that I have received from her, as well as it will notify me if there's a new mail with a number. So here's all the correspondence that I've had with her over the past few days. I can click here to respond back to the mail. I can do any number of things here. I can start a new message if I like by just launching the mail app. I can edit the contact as well. Now, the only thing about this is that this is in conjunction if you use the mail app in Windows, which I do. So I have, I can utilize this quite well. But it's kind of convenient. It also gives you quick access to all your contacts. And where then you can also just pin them. But you can only pin 3 at a time. So you have to kind of make a decision. But that'll be the first clue. You'll see that little people icon on your taskbar. And all the other features that has been no change. Over in our notification area, you'll see all the notifications that you have decided that you want to appear here. Now, you control this. A lot of people get annoyed about having all these notifications. But what you do is that if you go here in settings, and then over to personalization.
I can't explain that.
Hello?
Give them a second to. This happened. Yeah, Bill.
Yes, I'm here.
The screens and everything.
I'm sorry?
We lost the screen. Now we got it back. Okay.
Okay. So what I was saying, if we were talking about notification and action setting. Now notice what I did. If you don't know exactly where to find the setting, you can go up here to settings and put in what you're trying to find. In this case, I want to find notification. So I just started with the N, and notifications and action settings pops up. Now, as you notice that here's our quick actions, which we saw here at the bottom of our screen. And you can add and remove these at your pleasure. But then below that is notifications. And you can set this to get those or not, and where they will appear. But also here, there is another list that says get notifications from these senders. Now, these notifications here, this area right here controls what shows here. So you can go and turn these on or off, whether or not you want to get a notification from Facebook, if you want to get notifications for mail, Messenger, the Microsoft Store, you can turn those on or off, and this will eliminate what you add or eliminate what you see here. So just remember that you can control what appears in your notification and action center. Okay. The computer I'm using is also a touch screen, and it allows me to be able to actually use the touch. And so if you have a touch device, then you may not want to be in what's called uh, the regular standard mode. You might want to be what's referred to as a tablet mode. So you can change that by clicking here, and you'll see now it has icons which are bigger that I can just touch and use those to bring up anything that I want. So
Bill,
yes.
you're getting a little delay on the audio feed, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay. So I'll just talk slower. So here, as you notice, I've changed the appearance, and I can do that by just going here to the action center and changing the appearance. So you can still, if you recall, a lot of people were not completely happy with Windows 8 because it had the tiles that displayed on the screen, but that was there for a purpose. If you were a user of a tablet, that made it a lot easier to be able to select the applications that you were wanting to use than having to use the mouse to be able to navigate. But in Windows 10, it allows you the choice whether you want to use it in that mode or use it in the standard mode that looks more like Windows 7. We still have the ability to show hidden icons, and these are the ones that are hidden that normally would show on the taskbar, like our safely remove hardware and eject media, such as a flash drive. This gives us the status of Windows Defender. That's our audio manager. These are all computer specific, so it depends on what you have installed as to what appears there. Also, you will see a while ago, Cortana showed up with a little round circle, and what she was telling me was she was aware of my location. So now let's take a look at a couple other things. One is the Microsoft Store. As you see, it now has a colorful shopping bag. It's been revamped quite a bit in that it now you can get to apps, games, and music separately. They're not all bundled up together. So if you're just interested in apps, you can just go to just that. Also, there's your search box where you can search for something specific. Games, music, movies and TVs, and books. So those are all available. Some of these actually in the store are actually free that you can download to your computer. Others, of course, there is a charge. But the Microsoft Store, in order to access it, remember you have to have your might use your Microsoft account. If you're already logged in to your computer, such as I am here, you have no problem getting into it. But if you're not, in order to be able to utilize the store, you have to be logged in with your Microsoft account. The other things that we have here is our File Explorer. That hasn't been any big changes in it. It's still basically the same as it always has. Of course, the ribbon bar has been around for a while, but there's no big changes with it. It still functions the same. Now, in OneDrive, there has been a little bit of change where you do not have to download all the files from it. It allows you to be able to access those on demand. So that's something that's new. I don't have time to really go into all the details about that, but there's quite a bit of information out on how that works if you're a user of OneDrive. So there's not much to talk about there. And then there's Microsoft Edge, which I kind of saved for last. Microsoft Edge has been improved with each version of at least each update of Windows 10. And it's very fast. In fact, they've been saying it's probably faster than most of the browsers that's on the market today. It's becoming more user-friendly. It also is able to accept more extensions if you are using those. But one of the things about it is go to settings, and you can see that you can import your favorites from another browser. You can turn your favorites bar on or off, which gives you all of these. I keep mine off because of it gives me more real estate. You can clear your browser data, which is actually history in this case. You can sync your favorite reading lists, top sites, and other settings across your Windows devices. In other words, if you have multiple computers, you can have the same content across your laptop and your desktop. You don't have to go in and set them up individually. It's that whatever is set up on an Edge on one computer and you have the sync on, then they will sync together. And you can adjust those here and how you want these individual settings to work, such as the theme, your Internet Explorer settings, which should be Edge settings, password, language preferences, ease of access. All those things can be turned on and they will sync across your devices. So that's makes it really nice. Now below that, you'll see advanced settings. So don't ignore that. It's a button that you can click. And here you can do some more customization. You can do some more customization as to show your home button. Now, I don't understand why they have that to be turned on and off, but really what that is this little guy right here. And when you can then state what you want to be your home page. In this case, it's the start page, but it could be a specific space, such as if I wanted to make it Yahoo, I could just type in the URL here, and then my home page would then be Yahoo. So when I turn my computer on, then that would be the first page that I would see. Don't forget to click the little save button right there. I can block pop-ups. I can select whether I want to use Adobe Flash Player or not. I can also open sites and apps. In other words, if I have a hyperlink in a Microsoft Word document, I can just click on that hyperlink and it'll open up that app. But I can also turn that off so that won't work. And then you can also choose which sites that you want to have open. So there's a lot of customization you can do. You can also, we do a lot of downloading from the internet these days. And so typically when you download something from the default, rather, when you download something from the internet, it always is going to go to your download folder here. Right there. But if you don't want that to be the default, you can change that to something else, so that when you do a download, it'll go to whatever folder you designate rather than the default download folder. You can also have it to ask what to do with each download. You turn that on or off. As you know, when you get a download, it'll ask you, do you want to run? Do you want to save, etc. But if you don't want that to happen and it'll just automatically do the default settings, then you just turn that off. You can manage the website permissions, and here's your privacy settings. Offer to save passwords, and here's where you manage those passwords, where you have asked the browser to save them. You can go here, and all these have been saved, but you can also, if you don't want those saved, you can also delete them out of here. So you can manage your passwords very easily. You can save forms. You can send do not track request. So when you are sending something to another through your website and you don't want to be tracked, you can have that turned off. Cortana can also assist you. You can have it find things. There's lots of things that you can do here. It's just a matter of just going and reviewing these different settings, cookies, etc. So Edge has really improved quite a bit. Also, you might want to take a look at move this over. Some of the icons here is that when we click this button here, it's what's called the hub. So that gives you your favorites, which is here. This is your reading list. This is your books. This is the history, and this is your downloads. So in fact, if you click on that, it'll show you all the downloads that you've done within a certain period of time. This is all your favorites. Your reading list, of course. that you can save, something that you've read that you can save here for reading later. The annotator is something that's where it allows you to be able to add notes to a particular website. So if you want to make a notation, you can use these different tools to do so. And then you can save those as a web note, and then you can share that note with someone else if you want to annotate something and send it. So that's part of Edge as well. Okay, I think it's getting close to 11 o'clock, is it not, Barry? Hello?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so why don't we just open the floor up for any questions that anyone might have or want something demonstrated. We can do that in the remaining 10, 15 minutes.
If you have any questions, folks, please come up to the microphone here. Appreciate it. Just state your first name, that's all you can do.
Hi, this is Margaret. When you went to look for cars and you got, when you got a picture, had you tagged that with the word cars, or was there some sort of visual recognition?
That's a good question. Let me put that back. I'm not sure. I think that picture was probably, I want to say that was, that came off the web. It was some sort of visual recognition, or it was something that was tagged, because these cars, or this picture is not in my collection. That's not pictures that I actually had on that I have pictures of. So that's a good question. I do have pictures on here. Let me see how they're, let me do this. I'm gonna type in Mustang, see what I get. Well, see here I got no pictures at all. And there are pictures, but you know where those where my pictures are not physically on this machine. They're actually cloud-based. So it's not looking at those. That's interesting. I have never, but this picture right here that is showing, I don't have, that picture is not one I have taken. So it's either by a tag that's on the, let's see, file information. Well, there's cars in the file name. So and it says it's in Family Tree Maker. That's very interesting. I don't think I completely answered your question.
Okay, I got another one. When you were syncing settings so that both the laptop and the big computer were looking at the same screen, is that also with like a program that you have? Because a lot of the programs that I put in my computer only allow me to put it in one computer. So would it sync and let me look at it on my laptop as well as a big computer that has it?
Now, it won't sync programs unless they are programs that are part of the Windows operating system. If you put in, possibly with the exception of Microsoft Office, is that will, to bring it over on a laptop, you just have to put in your Microsoft account, and then that will download those programs. But say, for instance, if you have a copy of Ancestry or Family Tree Maker, I'm sorry, if you have a copy of Family Tree Maker, for example, you'd have to install that on the laptop itself. Now, that program allows you to have a copy on your desktop as well as a laptop, as long as you're not using them at the same time. Trying to think of one. Some of the Adobe products will allow you to do the same thing, that you can have it on a desktop and a laptop. You have one that you're thinking about specifically?
A lot of my sewing and digitizing programs only allow one download, and they say the second one is for backup in case you lose the first one.
Okay.
And
now when
also some of the Photoshop ones too are sort of set up like that.
Yeah, so if you sync those, if you sync the computers, it's not going to sync those programs to the other programs, to the other computer.
Right, so each computer has to have the program downloaded in order for them to sync.
Exactly. It would be more, but say for instance, if you have photos that are associated, or data files that are associated with those particular products, then those would sync, but the program itself will not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, another gentleman has a question here. Please just state your first name and take your seat.
Good morning, I'm Ron.
Good morning.
My question is, when you delete the apps from the, what do you call it, the background page or home page?
Yeah.
After I pin my favorites to the taskbar, can I just safely click on them and delete the apps on the screen, and then they will reappear, or the program will reappear when I hit the start button?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How do I go ahead about doing that? During my home screen.
Okay, one of the things that that was actually in the previous update is that when you delete an app from the start screen or from the then they will not reappear. Windows will remember that they were deleted, so they will not return until you reinstall them, if I'm understanding what you're asking. Remember that deleting them from this area here is just deleting the shortcut. The program is still going to be in your apps until you uninstall it. But if you have deleted, pardon?
My question is not to delete them from the start screen that you're showing now, but to delete them from my my face page, whatever that's called.
From here?
My favorite picture, my background.
Okay.
What's my picture that comes up this? Oh, a desktop. The desktop. I want to delete them from the desktop, and have them remain in the start screen.
Okay, if you delete a picture from the start, like say for instance you have the photo app here, is that what you're referring to? This one right here?
No, the desktop, which is your background, the forest that you have. If I want to delete the apps from that screen, so my computer's that screen there, I want to delete my apps from there, but have them remain in the start menu.
Oh yeah, what I've done here is that they're not, you're just deleting shortcuts. Let me show you this. When you delete a icon from here, you're just deleting the shortcuts, you're not deleting the program.
Okay, well, will that still remain as an app on the start screen?
They'll still stay on the start menu, on the start screen, yes.
Okay, because I pin my favorites to the taskbar, and I want to clean up my picture.
Yeah, if you delete any of these shortcuts here, it's not going to affect anything, any particular one over here. Let's go. Let's for example, let's test it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you see, I have Zoom here, right here.
Right.
And I have Zoom right here. So I'm going to just delete this one. I deleted it from there, but when I go here to my start menu, it's still here. Was that what you were talking about?
Okay, I understand deleting shortcuts. I didn't realize there were shortcuts.
Yes, they're shortcuts. So anything you have on your desktop that you have put there is just a shortcut to the main program, but it will not, you can delete them from your desktop and they'll still remain on your start menu.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's what I was saying. In my opinion, to have these here is sort of a redundancy. And that's the reason why I decide to just go and hide mine.
Okay.
And
All right, Bill.
I'm checking that show desktop icon.
We got someone else that has a question, all right?
Yes.
Hi, Bill. My name is Dino, and I like how you have your icons grouped together. PDF files to video together, and so on, so on. I would like to do the same like you have over there. What should I do?
You're speaking of this menu here?
Everything what you have saves on your computer. Open that screen.
Okay, on my start menu, what I've done is I've grouped those together by, you can move,
Please open the screen of your files. PDF files, video files, and so on.
That's what he's referring to OneDrive.
Okay, are you talking about the ones I had on my desktop, or are you talking about the ones that are on the start menu?
Desktop.
Okay, the desktop is that if you have the desktop, is that you can, first of all, is that when you go to view, you'll see that you have auto arrange icons, align icons to grid. So when you do that, those will automatically pop into place and they will pop in the place alphabetically, okay? To prevent them from being scattered all over the place, you need to have these two boxes checked. You need to have the audio line, auto arrange icons, and align to grid. When you auto arrange, they will fall into place alphabetically, and you can't move them. They'll always pop back.
Dear, show me where your PDF files are. And then maybe you understand better.
Okay.
Let me see your PDF files, the icons.
Okay, these are my PDF icons right here. Okay, those two.
Not here, on the other screen.
You're talking about here?
At the library or whatever.
Bill, I think he's talking about OneDrive, where you have everything consolidated shown on the Microsoft OneDrive. Want to show that screen, please?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
All right. Is that Windows will automatically group your files by, they will group your files by type by what you have here. See where it says file name extension?
Yes.
So, group by, let me think. These are sorted by name. And so when they're sorted by name, they will put everything that has that name together. So that's why the PDFs are all together like that.
Okay.
And also, they're...
I understand now. Now I know how to do.
Yeah, you have to, it's right here. They're sorted by name and they're in ascending order. So that's the first thing you need to do under current view. And then also,
Thanks.
I'm sorry?
We have one more before we're going to kill the feed.
Okay.
Hi, Bill, it's Bob.
Hi.
Windows 10, my biggest problem is transferring pictures from my iPhone to my computer. Used to be very easy in Windows 7, but I find it very difficult in Windows 10. Any suggestions?
Well, to my knowledge, your pictures, to transfer your pictures is a function of iTunes, is it not?
It can be, but in Windows 7 it wasn't. You could transfer them to your folders, your pictures folders directly.
Okay. If you, I know when I have an iPad, but I don't have an iPhone. I use an Android. And, but when I connect those, let me get my phone. When I connect my phone, I get this screen. Hold on a second. Let me do that.
Behind you.
Okay, that's a good question. Now this is what's And I will assume that this would work the same way with a iPhone. I'm going to plug my Android phone into my USB port, and what will happen if I go down to File Explorer, which is right here, and I go to this PC, I see my phone there. You see that? It says it just says a drive.
Yes.
And then when I click on it, it's not doing what I expect it to do. Let's see. Well, what I was expecting, it didn't do. Normally you can see, oh, wait a minute. Maybe it was disconnected. Normally you see this as another drive, and then you can see your picture folder. Let me just.
He'll email you the question, and maybe you can give it to him because we're about out of time here.
Okay. Why don't you just send me an email, and I will. I'll go through that. But normally, when you connect your phone, you should see it as another drive. And for some reason, it didn't do it this time. I'm not sure why.
You want to show your screen now so everybody can thank you? Show your.
Yes, and I have one thing to show you right quickly. For those of you that do not have Windows 10 and are still operating on Windows 7 under the impression that you can no longer get a free version, that's not entirely true, because Microsoft offered people under the assistive technology upgrade, they offered a free copy of Windows 10. Now, what I'm going to show you here is how to go about, where to go get that. Okay, so you can acquire it from, all you have to have is a Windows 7 or 8.1 device, and then go to the web page that's entitled Windows 10 Free Upgrade for Customers Who Use Assistive Technologies. Now, kind of ignore that because they still, it's kind of on the honor system. They will not question you about this. But here is where you can get it. And so when you get to this page, you just click on Upgrade Now, and it will start downloading. I shortened that URL so that you can get to it quickly, because it's very long, as you can see. But if you write down http://tinyurl.com, and then it's lowercase y8sggbk4, that'll take you to this page, and then you can go ahead and download it at no cost. Now that will all end December 31st. So they finally put a date where they're going to cut that off, but that was been kind of a loophole. And I've used it a number of times for people that wanted Windows 10 and they missed the free download. And I used that and it worked just fine. So that's just something that you can use up till December 31st of this year. Now remember that currently Windows 7 is still on, is no longer being supported as far as any new features. You're still getting security upgrades, but that's all going to end probably in 2020. So that's just something to think about.
Thanks, Bill.
All
Can
right.
you get to your screen, please?
I'll put my other screen up. Okay. And there's my, if you need to get hold of me, my email address is wjames@apcug.org. Don't forget the conference tomorrow. And it's been a pleasure to give you this presentation.
Let's give him a big hand. Thanks, Bill. You can stop the recording and I'm going to leave the meeting.
All right. Thanks, Barry.
Take care and good job.
I appreciate that.